Cyber Threat Brief for May 5, 2026. cPanel exploitation reaches thousands of servers with Mirai and ransomware payloads. Copy-fail Linux flaw earns CISA, the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, KEV, known exploited vulnerabilities catalog. Status with 100% reliable root exploit. RMM, Remote Monitoring and Management, tools fuel phishing campaign hitting 80-plus organizations through dual-channel persistence. Here's the full breakdown of today's top security stories. Daily Cybersecurity Brief. May 5, 2026. Next section, Critical Alerts. cPanel Authentication Bypass, CVE 2026-41940. Exploited at scale. CVE 2026-41940 is a critical authentication bypass. CVSS, the Common Vulnerability Scoring System, 9.8, affecting all supported cPanel, Web Host Manager, WHM, and WP² versions. Threat actors began exploiting this flaw within 24 hours of public disclosure on April 29, with at least 44,000 IP addresses launching scanning and brute force attacks against honeypots on April 30. Known host reports signs of exploitation dating back at least 30 days before disclosure, possibly as early as February 23. Attackers are deploying Mirai botnet variants and SARI ransomware that encrypts files with a SARI extension. Some victims report complete website and backup wipes. Government and military entities in Southeast Asia, Philippines, MIL, PH, Laos *, Gov, LA, and MSBs in multiple countries are being targeted from IP 95.111.250.175. Sensi's observed 15,000 potentially compromised instances within the first 24 hours. Action: apply cPanel updates immediately. Run vendor detection script to check for indicators of compromise. If compromised, expect encrypted files, wiped backups, and potential Mirai botnet participation. cPanel patched all supported versions on April 28. CISA, the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, KEV, known exploited vulnerabilities catalog, deadline is May 3. Cleanup environment per vendor guidance if detection script identifies breach artifacts. Sources: The Hacker News. Dark reading. The Hacker News Weekly Recap. Copy-fail Linux privilege escalation. CVE 2026-31431. Under active exploitation, CVE 2026-31431 is a logic bug in the Linux kernel's ALGIF EAD cryptographic interface, allowing unprivileged local users to gain root privileges with 100% reliability. CISA added this to the KEV catalog on May 2, one day after public disclosure, citing active exploitation in the wild. The flaw affects all major Linux distributions from 2017 onward: Ubuntu 24, 4 LTS, Amazon Linux 2023, RHEL 10, 1, SUSE 16. 732-byte Python exploit script works unmodified across every distribution with a vulnerable kernel built between 2017 and the patch. EPSS, the exploit prediction scoring system, is 0. 88th percentile. Exploitation leaves no traces on disk because it occurs entirely in memory and enables container escape from any pod in a Kubernetes cluster. Theory researchers used AI to discover the flaw and generate disclosure content, resulting in some controversy over the AI-generated language in the initial advisory. Action: patch Linux kernels immediately. CIS, a KEV deadline is May 15. Prioritize internet-facing Linux systems and Kubernetes clusters. This is a local privilege escalation requiring an attacker to have authenticated access first, but once present, the exploit works 100% of the time with no probabilistic guessing. Major distros began pushing patches via kernel updates on May 1. Sources: Bleeping Computer. The Hacker News Weekly Recap. Cyberscoop. Next section, Ransomware Claims, last 48h. 3 claims tracked across one group in the last 48 hours. These are unverified claims from ransomware leak sites, not confirmed breaches. Group: Victim Sector Country CMD Organization, Sidec Biosciences Biotechnology, US CMD Organization, J.G. Stewart Construction/Quarry, UK CMD Organization, Zampel Refractory Services /Petrochemicals UK. Next section, Ransomware and Extortion. Karakurt member sentenced to 102 months. Denis Zolotarjovs, a 35-year-old Latvian national operating from Moscow, was sentenced to 102 months in federal prison for his role in a Russian ransomware organization. Zolotarjovs was a member of multiple ransomware gangs including Karakurt and other groups that stole from and extorted over 54 companies. The Department of Justice confirmed the sentencing but did not release additional operational details. Sources: Data breaches. Next section, business and infrastructure threats. RMM, remote monitoring and management, tools abused in Venomous Hash Helper phishing campaign, an ongoing phishing campaign tracked as Venomous Hash Helper, also known as Stack 6405, has compromised over 80 organizations since at least April 2025, primarily in the US, with additional victims in Western Europe and Latin America. The campaign uses SSA-themed phishing emails directing victims to legitimate but compromised Mexican websites hosting malicious executables. The payload installs both Simple Help and Screen Connect RMM tools, creating redundant dual-channel access. Simple Help version 5.0.1 serves as the primary channel for scripts, automated tasks, and surveillance, while Screen Connect provides interactive desktop control as a backup. Both tools are legitimately signed and use JWrapper packaging. Simple Help establishes safe mode persistence, self-healing watchdog processes, and polls security products every 67 seconds and user presence every 23 seconds. The operator gains system-level privileges via cdebug privilege and tracks cursor movement to execute hands-on attacks when users are away. Researchers at Huntress reported a 277% year-over-year increase in RMM tool misuse in 2025, with RMM tools appearing in nearly a quarter of all incidents. Action: monitor for unexpected Simple Help and Screen Connect installations. Block executables downloaded from compromised Mexican business domains Gruta. Com, MX server, Cubish and Elementos. Com, MX. Review RMM tool deployments for legitimacy. Traditional AV and signature-based controls see nothing but legitimately signed software, so behavioral monitoring is required. Investigate any RMM tool with safe mode persistence or watchdog processes. Sources: Dark Reading the Hacker News. Phishing groups operate within SAW environments. Two cybercrime groups tracked as Cordial Spider and Snarky Spider are conducting rapid, high-impact attacks that operate almost entirely within SAW environments while leaving minimal traces. The groups use voice calls, text messages, and emails to direct targeted employees to phishing pages masquerading as legitimate SSO pages. After capturing credentials, attackers remove existing MFA, multi-factor authentication, devices, set up new MFA under their control, and delete emails that would alert organizations to the malicious activity. The attacks bypass MFA and move laterally across entire SAW ecosystems with a single authenticated session. Attackers mask their tracks through residential proxy networks to blend in as legitimate home user traffic. CrowdStrike notes this is part of a larger trend of English-speaking ransomware crews that share similar playbooks but are branching off into their own distinct groups. Action: monitor for MFA device changes, especially when followed by rapid email deletions. Implement phishing-resistant MFA, FIDO2, WebAuthn. Log and alert on SSO sign-ins from residential IP ranges that don't match expected employee geolocations. Review SAW audit logs for suspicious email rule creation and deletion patterns. Sources: The Hacker News Weekly Recap. Team PCP Mini Shai-Hulid Worm Campaign. Week of April 27 May 3. Team PCP executed a self-propagating supply chain worm campaign April 29-30, compromising 4 official SAP NPM packages. MBT, at capjs/db service, at capjs/postgres, at capjs/SQLite. 2 PyTorch Lightning PyPI versions, 2 Intercom client NPM versions, and the Intercom PHP packages package. Combined weekly downloads exceed 500,000 for the SAP packages alone. OX Security tracked roughly 1,800 GitHub repositories created with stolen credentials during the 2-day campaign. Malicious pre-install hook downloads the bun runtime from the legitimate OvenSH GitHub release and executes execution. JS, an obfuscated information stealer targeting NPM and GitHub tokens, SSH keys, AWS/Azure/GCP credentials, Kubernetes configs, CI/CD secrets, and environment variables. The worm uniquely weaponizes Claude/settings files. Wiz attributed the operation to Team PCP at high confidence based on a shared RSA public key with prior Bitwarden CLI and Checkmarx Kix operations. Checkpoint Research also disclosed that Team PCP's extortion partner, Vec2.0, ships a CHA-20 IETF non-serious flaw that effectively turns the ransomware into a data wiper for any file larger than 128 kilobytes, making it impossible to recover files even if the ransom is paid. CIS added CVE 2024-1708, Connect Wisescreen Connect Path Traversal, and CVE 2026-32202, Microsoft Windows Shell Spoofing, to the KEV catalog on April 28, neither Team PCP related. Action: Audit dependencies for SAP NPM packages, PyTorch Lightning 2.6.3, and Intercom packages published April 29/30. PyTorch Lightning has been reverted to 2.6.1 on PyPI. Rotate all credentials if compromised versions were imported. Search for bun directories and router runtime, JS execution artifacts. Review GitHub Actions logs for repository creation spikes. Never pay Vec2. Zero ransoms. Files larger than 128 kilobytes are permanently destroyed due to encryption bug. Sources: Sans ISC bleeping computer. DigiCert revokes 60 certificates after support portal compromise. DigiCert disclosed a support portal compromise that resulted in fraudulent EV code signing certificates. The attack occurred on April 2 when a threat actor delivered malware via a customer chat channel disguised as a screenshot. The malware infected 2 endpoints, one detected on April 3 and another not discovered until April 14 due to malfunctioning security solutions. Attackers pivoted to the internal support portal using a limited access function to obtain EV code signing certificates. DigiCert support analysts can proxy into customer accounts, providing access to initialization codes for pending code signing certificate orders. Possession of an initialization code combined with an approved order is sufficient to obtain the resulting certificate. DigiCert identified and revoked 60 certificates by April 17, including 27 explicitly linked to the threat actor. 11 were reported by the community and used to sign Zhong Stealer malware. DigiCert improved security controls to enforce MFA for administrative workflows, prevent access to initialization codes from proxied support users, restrict file types in support chat and Salesforce attachments, and improve logging. Action: Check for Zhong Stealer signatures on systems. Review code signing certificates issued between April 2017 for legitimacy. Update trust policies if DigiCert signed executables appear suspicious. DigiCert canceled pending orders to close attacker access. Sources: Security Week. Amazon SES abused for phishing at scale. Kaspersky researchers report a spike in phishing attacks leveraging Amazon's simple email service. Says, to send convincing emails that bypass standard security filters. The primary driver is the increasing exposure of AWS IAM access keys in GitHub repositories, env files, Docker images, backups, and publicly accessible S3 buckets. Threat actors use automated bots built on TruffleHog to scan for leaked secrets, then verify the key's permissions and email sending limits before spreading massive volumes of phishing messages. Because Amazon SES is a legitimate, trusted resource, phishing operations can send malicious emails that pass SPF, DKIM, and DMARC authentication checks. Observed attacks include fake DocuSign document signing notifications leading to AWS-hosted phishing pages and business email compromise, BEC. Attacks with fabricated email threads and fake invoices. Blocking offending IP addresses is not an acceptable solution because it would block all emails coming through Amazon SES. Action: Restrict IAM permissions based on least privilege principles. Enable MFA on AWS accounts. Regularly rotate access keys. Apply IP-based access restrictions and encryption controls. Scan public repositories and container images for exposed AWS credentials. Train finance teams to verify invoices through out-of-band channels before making payments. Sources: Bleeping Computer. Trellix discloses source code repository breach. Cybersecurity firm Trellix disclosed unauthorized access to a portion of its source code repository. Trellix is a global cybersecurity company serving over 50,000 business and government customers worldwide, protecting more than 200 million endpoints. The company is investigating the incident with outside forensic experts and has notified law enforcement. Trellix has found no evidence that the source code release or distribution process was affected or that the source code has been exploited. The company has not disclosed when the breach was detected, whether attackers stole corporate or customer data, or whether a ransom demand was made. Action: Monitor for suspicious Trellix product updates. Trellix customers should verify software integrity through official channels. Watch for follow-up disclosures from Trellix regarding scope and impact. Sources: Bleeping Computer. Next section: Windows/Active Directory security. Code of Conduct phishing campaign targets 35,000 users with AITM token theft. A large-scale credential theft campaign observed between April 14-16 targeted more than 35,000 users across over 13,000 organizations in 26 countries, with 92% of targets in the US. The campaign impacted healthcare and life sciences, 19%, financial services, 18%, professional services, 11%, and technology and software, 11%. Emails posed as internal compliance or regulatory communications using display names like Internal Regulatory COC, workforce communications, and team conduct report, with subject lines claiming code of conduct reviews. Messages were sent from a legitimate email delivery service and included PDF attachments with links to multi-stage CAPTCHA and intermediate staging pages designed to reinforce legitimacy and filter out automated defenses. The attack chain led to an adversary in the middle, AITM, phishing flow that proxied the authentication session and captured authentication tokens in real time, bypassing non-phishing resistant multi-factor authentication. Messages included preemptive authenticity statements claiming the message was issued through an authorized internal channel, and links were reviewed and approved for secure access. A green POWbox banner at the end of each message reinforced confidentiality claims. Action: educate users about code of conduct phishing lures. Deploy phishing-resistant MFA, FIDO2, WebAuthn. Enable Microsoft Defender for Office 365 and configure essential email security settings. Enable network protection to allow Windows to use Smart Screen as a host-based web proxy. Block messages referencing POWbox encryption when the sender is not a known healthcare partner. Review authentication logs for token replay attempts. Sources: Microsoft security blog, The Hacker News. April Windows updates cause backup failures. Microsoft confirmed that April 2026 security updates are causing failures in third-party backup applications using the PeaceMounterX SIS driver. The April updates include a security hardening change that adds PeaceMounterX SIS to Microsoft's vulnerable driver blocklist to defend against CVE 2023-43896, a high-severity buffer overflow vulnerability allowing privilege escalation or arbitrary code execution. Software impacted includes Macrium Reflect, Acronis Cyber Protect Cloud, Backup Server, and Ninja One Backup running on Windows 11, Windows Server, and Windows 10. Backup applications using VSS snapshots may fail with VSS service timeouts. Backup creation, full image backups may still succeed, but image mount operations will fail. Event Viewer shows code integrity errors indicating PeaceMounterX SIS was blocked. Microsoft advises customers to update to newer versions of affected applications that use newer drivers with required protections, not to uninstall or pause the update. Action: update Macrium, Acronis, Backup, and Ninja One Backup to latest versions with patched drivers. Check Event Viewer for Event ID 3077 with Policy ID, a unique identifier listed in the show notes. Encode Integrity Operational Log to verify if PeaceMounterX driver was blocked. Do not uninstall April updates. Test backup restores after driver updates to ensure image mount operations succeed. Sources: Bleeping Computer. Next section, General Security News. Weaver Ecology Remote Code Execution, CVE 2026-22679. Exploited since March. CVE 2026-22679 is a critical unauthenticated remote code execution vulnerability, CVSS 9.8, affecting Weaver Ecology 10.0 versions prior to build 20,260,312. Weaver Ecology is an enterprise office automation and collaboration platform used primarily by Chinese organizations. The flaw resides in the /pappy/assert/data/devops/double API/debug/method endpoint, allowing attackers to craft post requests with controlled interface name and method name parameters to execute arbitrary commands. Vigo research team identified active exploitation dating back to March 17, 5 days after patches were shipped. The intrusion unfolded over roughly a week with RCE verification, 3 failed payload drops, an attempted pivot to an MSI implant, Fanway 0324. MSI, and attempts to retrieve PowerShell payloads from attacker-controlled infrastructure. Attackers ran discovery commands, whoami, ipconfig, tasklist throughout the campaign. Shadows of our Foundation observed the first signs of exploitation on March 31. Action: apply Weaver Ecology security updates for build 20,260,312 or later. The vendor fix removes the debug endpoint entirely. No alternative mitigations or workarounds are available. Upgrading is the only remediation. Sources: The Hacker News. Bleeping Computer. Scarcruft deploys bird call Android malware via supply chain attack. North Korean APT-37. Scarcruft, Ricochet Colima, has been delivering an Android version of the bird call backdoor through a supply chain attack on a SKU game. Net, Chinese video game platform catering to Koreans in China's autonomous Yanbian region. The Android variant was developed around October 2024 with at least 7 versions. Bird call for Android extracts geolocation information, collects contacts, call logs, SMS, device details, OS, kernel IMEI, MAC address, takes periodic screenshots, records audio via microphone from 7:10 p.m. local time, plays a silent MP3 in a loop to prevent process suspension, and exfiltrates files. Windows infections begin with a Trojanized mono DLL that downloads ROC-RET, which then deploys the Windows version of Bird Call. The Android version does not yet feature shell command execution, traffic proxying, browser/messenger data targeting, file deletion/dropping, or process killing capabilities present in the Windows version. Action: block SQ game. Net at the network perimeter. Educate users to only download apps from official marketplaces. Monitor for silent MP3 playback loops on Android devices. Review Android device logs for Bird Call audio recording, 7:10 p.m. time window, and screenshot capture. Sources: Bleeping Computer, The Hacker News. Cisco acquires Asterisk Security for non-human identity management. Cisco announced its intent to acquire Asterisk Security, a startup focused on securing non-human identities, NHI, such as API, keys, service accounts, and OAuth tokens increasingly used by applications and AI agents. Calculist reports the deal is valued at roughly $400 million. Asterisk provides visibility into non-human identities and AI-driven agent activity, along with lifecycle management and automated detection and remediation of overprivileged, unnecessary, or malicious access. Cisco plans to integrate these capabilities into its broader security platform, including Identity Intelligence, Secure Access, and Duo IAM. The acquisition reflects growing industry concern over risks tied to autonomous AI agents and machine-to-machine access. Sources: Security Week. Next section, Patch Priority. cPanel/WHM/WP². Critical Auth Bypass, CVE 2026-41940, actively exploited with Mirai and Sari ransomware. CIS a KEV Dume 3. Linux kernels, Copy Fail Privilege Escalation, CVE 2026-31431, 100% reliable root exploit, actively exploited. CIS a KEV Dume 15. Mover Automation, Critical Auth Bypass, CVE 2026-4670, and High Severity Privilege Escalation, CVE 2026-5174. Upgrade to 2025.1.5, 2025.0.9, or 2024.1.8. Backup software drivers, Update Macrium, Acronis, Backup, Ninja 1 to latest versions after April Windows updates blocked vulnerable Peacemounter X. SIS driver, CVE 2023-43896. Weaver Ecology 10. 0. Unauthenticated RCE, CVE 2026-22679, exploited since March 17. Upgrade to build 20,260,312 or later. Next section, Vulnerability Disclosures. Mover Automation Critical Authentication Bypass, CVE 2026-4670. Progress Software, Patch CVE 2026-4670. A critical authentication bypass vulnerability, CVSS score not disclosed, in Move It automation versions before 2025.1.5, 2025.0.9, and 2024.1.8. Remote threat actors can exploit this flaw without privileges in low-complexity attacks that don't require user interaction. Over 1,400 Move It automation instances are exposed online, with over a dozen linked to U.S. local and state government agencies. Progress also addressed CVE 2026-5174, a high-severity privilege escalation vulnerability stemming from improper input validation. Upgrading to a patched release using the full installer is the only remediation. MFT software is an attractive target for ransomware actors, as seen in previous CLOP campaigns targeting Excellion FTA, SolarWinds Servu, GladNet Center Stack, Go Anywhere MFT, and Clio. CLOP exploited a Move It transfer 0 day in 2023, affecting more than 2,100 organizations and over 62 million individuals. Action: upgrade Move It automation to 2025.1.5, 2025.0.9, or 2024.1.8 immediately. Monitor for signs of exploitation. Review Move It transfer deployments separately for different vulnerabilities. Progress says Move It MFT solutions are used by more than 3,000 enterprise organizations and over 100,000 users worldwide. Sources: Bleeping Computer, The Hacker News. Microsoft CVEs published with minimal details. Microsoft published 3 CVEs in the MSRC Security Update Guide with no technical details beyond information published. CVE 2026-42798, EPSS 0.0, second percentile, and GTCP2 QLog Transport Parameter Serialization Stack Buffer Overflow, EPSS 0.1, 15th percentile, and EPSS 0.0, 12th percentile. No severity scores, affected products, or mitigation guidance are currently available, and 2 additional CVEs. See show notes for the full list. Sources: MSRC Security Update Guide, MSRC Security Update Guide, MSRC Security Update Guide, and 2 additional CVEs. See show notes for the full list. Next section, Trends and Context. The weak stories reveal a consistent pattern. Legitimate infrastructure is the new attack surface. RMM tools, email services like Amazon SES, and supply chain platforms are all being weaponized because defenders trust them by default. Meanwhile, exploitation timelines continue to compress. cPanel attacks began within 24 hours of disclosure, and CopyFail moved from public proof of concept to CISA-KEV in 1 day. The Weaver Ecology timeline shows exploitation starting 5 days after patch release and 2 weeks before public disclosure, suggesting either patch diffing or insider knowledge. Team PCP's supply chain worm demonstrated cross-ecosystem propagation in production, NPM to PyPI to Packagist, realizing a theoretical risk that is now operational reality. That concludes today's cyber threat brief. From Carolina Clear Tech. Stay patched, stay vigilant.